Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy do I have a surprise for you. I have on Zoom with me right now Allen Danziger, and he played Jerry in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hey Allen, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Any day above ground is a good day for me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about this interview. We set it up, I believe, last week, so this is exciting. So I'm really excited about this. I've been a big fan of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, a big fan of yours, obviously. First question I got for you, how did you get your start into acting?
Well, I don't know if we call it acting, but I think it was more a fortuitous or just a stroke of kismet in that I was living in Austin, Texas, going to graduate school in social work, and I was in a duplex, and I was living above Sally Richardson, and Sally was working with Toby, and I think she was the assistant or something, on Chainsaw, and because I knew her, I ended up meeting Toby, and then I was doing social work, and I was working with a young couple named David and Amy, who were the stars of his first movie, Eggshells, which was seen by about 15 to 20 people, I think.
Right.
But I was in, a couple of scenes, and fortunately, I guess they liked what I did or whatever, and they kept adding stuff for me to do. And so when Eggshells came out, virtually nobody thought. But when they wrote Chainsaw, they came to me and said, "Alan, we'd like you to play the part of Jerry," which wasn't, a stretch. For me, it was just basically being me. So, but I had no idea. Nobody knew that this was going to turn out to be a classic. That after, almost 50 years, I mean, people are still interested in talking to me. So,
Absolutely. And the thing is, like with, for example, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even like a Friday the 13th or a Halloween, they didn't have a fan base at the time because there was only one film when you guys did these films. It wasn't like there was a bunch of sequels added to it.
No, I mean, we were the pioneers. We, as I refer to us, we're like the Bee Gees of horror.
Absolutely.
We're the 80s and 90s, and even now we're 2021, and there's a new Chainsaw that's going to be coming out, and if they use a picture of us in the van in this new movie, I will get more money for not being in the movie than I got for being in the movie.
Absolutely. It's crazy with how much of a cult following this franchise really has, obtained over the course of all these years. It's really incredible.
It truly is. And next month, actually, I'm going to be going down to Bastrop at the gas station that's owned by Roy Rose, and I'm doing a meet and greet along with Ed Gwynn, who was the truck driver.
Nice.
So it'll be like the two OGs, the two original drivers, kind of like the three tenors.
Absolutely.
But a little different.
That's awesome. I definitely wish I could be there for that. Obviously, as I said, I'm in Maryland, so
I'd beam you up there right now, Scotty.
What'd you say?
I'd beam you up there.
I would definitely love. I would love to obviously meet you in person. Hopefully, one of these days you'll be at a convention that I can go to. Obviously, when conventions start opening back up, I know they're starting to open up slowly but surely.
Actually, I'm going to be in, I think, Lehigh, Pennsylvania, on
That's right.
The 25th, along with Ed Neal, the hitchhiker, and we're going to be at a drive-in where they're going to be showing the movie. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I forgot, like when we were talking about setting up the interview and everything, you were telling me about that. And I was telling you I live about maybe roughly like an hour or so from, I believe it's the Mahoning Drive-In.
You may be right.
That's exciting.
They
do a lot of good tributes there.
Is that not that far from you?
It's about an hour from when I go to visit my parents on the weekends. Like it's about an hour from them. It's maybe I'd say 3-4 hours from me here.
Well, if you can make it, that'd be great. Love to meet you in person.
Absolutely. I will see what I can do. I'll definitely see what I can do because I would love to meet you in person. That would be so cool.
My pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. So the next question I got for you, before we dive into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre questions, you did send me a text the other day. I did get it, and I actually seen the post that you, I believe, was on Facebook or something that you did text me that you have joined the cast of Cannibal Comedian. So what can you tell us about this project, and how did you become a part of it?
Well, I met a fellow by the name of Mark Cirilli about a year or so ago at the gas station in Bastrop, and he asked for a ride to Austin. He wasn't scared of going with me, so we kind of hit it off. And when he got involved in this project, Cannibal Comedian, he recommended me to do the voiceover. Not that I'm a trained voiceover actor, but whatever. So they got in contact with me and asked if I would do it, and I did a few takes, and then unfortunately we had that power outage, in Austin, and I was living in my kitchen with no heat, like 30 degrees. I was curing meat, and that's how cold it was. And I just said, they wanted to make some changes. I said, unfortunately, I can't do some of those things, but they were happy with what I sent them. And I'm excited to be part of it. It looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
Absolutely. I when I seen that you're a part of it, I'm like, this seems interesting. I would like to see this. I read the article you sent me, and it seems like a very interesting movie. Like I would like to. This is something I would like to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's like as a stand-up comic. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So, what was your audition like for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
It was no audition. They said, here's the script, read the script, and we'd like you to do it. And we just kind of, started really at that. I mean, in some ways, I think, one of the only ones that I didn't have to audition.
Nice.
I guess my audition was the movie Eggshells. So I guess I passed the audition, Mr. DeMille. So we just started shooting it, and in the process of shooting the movie, they made changes, and a lot of the funny lines that are in that movie are actually lines that I had lived, on set. In fact, my shirt bears my, my trademark. Quit goofing on me.
I love that. That's awesome.
Go figure.
So, what was the best part about filming the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and what was the worst?
The best part was, I guess, just being, a part of the situation. I was fortunate in that it wasn't that gruesome for me. I was also doing a summer camp for disadvantaged kids at that time, so I didn't really get to stay on set, or I was only in the house where I perish, where I get the sledgehammer to the head. The rest of the time, was in the van. And so, I mean, there's a lot of, fun times that I had, making the movie, and, during breaks and stuff. I enjoyed myself. I had no complaints, other than it was just majorly hot. And in the van, it was like, 100 degrees. There was no AC. The windows were up. Toby was in the van, some other people, so about 8 people in a van that's over 100 degrees. That was not pleasant.
I bet that seems like true torture, like a true horror movie in itself.
Yeah. I mean, really, the real massacre took place after the movie, when the distributors turned out to be the mafia. Happened.
That, and like even the MPAA, like they can really change the setting of a movie that could be pure gold.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what was Toby Hooper like as a director?
Well, he really didn't give very much direction, actually. There's just a couple of scenes, that we talked over. I think they're having to do with the, what do you call it, the horoscope, reading, what's happening with Saturn and retro. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know about a Leo or a Sagittarius. I thought it was like a vegetarian or whatever. So I didn't know. But it worked out, and and I guess during my death scene, I think I've mentioned that in other places, that's where I really felt like I did the acting, because I had them blindfold me on the porch before I go in, and I had not seen Leatherface in his costume yet. So my reaction was the first time I really see Leatherface, and and he comes in, and I start screaming and I'm running out the door. And then they had to yell cut because they said, Alan, that's a great scream, but he's not even in the frame yet. You know, you got to wait till he's there, you know, with the hammer cocked to hit you. So we had to do that several times. And actually, the guys that pulled me down, one was actually the late Lou Perryman, who was like a grip on Chainsaw, went on to be in the Chainsaw, the one with Dennis Hopper.
Right.
And unfortunately, he was murdered some years later.
Nice. So speaking of Leatherface, he was played by the late great Gunnar Hansen. So how was it like working with him? Was it like kind of nerve-wracking, like, you know, obviously like being on set with him in full costume? Like, what was that experience like?
The thing was the way it played out. They really kept us apart. So I really didn't get to know Gunnar until after the movie was over, and then we became really good friends. In fact, he stayed with me the summer when the movie came out, prior to his leaving for Maine, and we became really fast and good friends. He was the nicest guy, very bright, I would say brilliant, and a super sweet guy.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
So the people that I met from the movie, I've still maintained, you know, friendships with after all these years. I mean, Ed Neal and I, you know, are in regular contact. I speak with Kim on a regular basis, and Terry, and I've even, you know, on Facebook, you know, conversed with John, Grandpa.
Awesome.
So the other part is that just some of the people that are no longer with us. You know, like Hunter and Marilyn and Paul Partain, who played Franklin, and I hated him during the movie, and he also was the nicest guy. You know, so after we'd meet at some of the conventions and stuff, and just a terrific. As was Robert Burns, who also died too soon.
Yeah, and Marilyn Burns, I mean, she obviously, God rest her soul as well. She was, I tribute her as like the official first final girl of like horror.
The original, yeah.
The original, absolutely. I mean, she was amazing, like in that movie through and through. The whole cast was great. Like it really was, like it really came well together. They really, you know, mended well together.
And you mentioned about my favorite scene. Actually, my favorite scene does take place at the gas station. I think I've mentioned this before, with Jim Seedow, you know, the cook, where he comes up to us, you know, tell us that he's got no gas. And while he's coming, you know, to the van, I inadvertently hit the windshield wiper, and it splashed all this soapy water on his face. And he's trying to deliver his lines, and there's soapy water dripping down from him. And Bill Bale, who's Kirk, and I mean, we lost it, and we were gone for the rest of the day. So that Kim Henkel had to finish the set. Toby got so upset with us that he walked off the set.
Oh boy,
yeah,
crazy!
That was one of my favorite things.
Nice. So what this, like the setting, obviously, and the environment on screen, the house, the gas station, all that stuff. Was it as creepy as it came off on screen?
Even more so, because what you don't get is smell-o-vision, and the stench from the clothes. I mean, it was terrible. You know,
Oof,
picked up to an algorithm.
Well, I mean, it really, I don't know, like it's just one of those, like that site of filming, like it's just people, like when they travel through that area all the time, they will stop, they'll make a, you know, out of their way just to go and you know, see the filming.
I was at the gas station a few weeks ago, and somebody said that I was there, and a woman came running out to take a picture with me from Peru. She was from Peru, and she, you know, she just loves the movie. And I mean, there's also like a bench that's a beautiful bench that's got all the names of the actors that are no longer, you know, with us on this bench. And there's also a sign under coming attractions with my name on it.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So obviously we know your death scene, as we mentioned earlier, was being hit in the face with a sledgehammer. So how was all of that filmed and prepped, and was the sledgehammer a real sledgehammer?
Yeah, it was a real sledgehammer, and as a result, 45 years later, I'm still getting headaches from that shot. It wasn't a real sledgehammer. But it's done real well. It looks real good, right?
It does. It actually does.
It truly is hammer time.
Absolutely. So the last question I got for you, any projects that you got coming up, any gigs that you would like to promote, or social media and websites that you would like to plug to the viewing and listening audience?
Oh, wow. Thank you for the question. My website is chainsawjerry.com. And
Okay.
on my website, I have t-shirts like this and my now soon to be famous, my own bobblehead and a talking bobblehead at that. And I just purchased a 1977 Airstream that I'm converting into an Airbnb. So that I'm
Nice.
hoping that I'll be able to entertain fans that come through Texas and Austin that want to stay and
Mhm.
have a Chainsaw Jerry Airstream experience.
That's
So
awesome.
that's in the works, and some other things, that I'm looking at doing also. So there's just a lot of fun projects that I'm involved in, and I'm just happy to be involved and to meet the fans after all these
Absolutely.
years that they still love the movie.
That's great. I mean, it really is, and it's a classic. The movie's literally a classic. Like, I mean, you have your Friday the 13th, you have your Halloween, but then you have your Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, it's obviously it came before Halloween, it came before Friday the 13th, it came before all of those classics. I literally cite as Texas Chainsaw Massacre as really opening the waves for the other slashers that followed. That, with Psycho, they just literally paved the way for all the other slashers that came in the
Oh,
80s.
you're totally correct. And just one more thing, a shout out that at the meet and greet, I'm going to unveil the original costume that I wore in the movie. That a super fan found a fabric that's as close to the original that I wore in the movie, and so I'm going to be having that. And I got the retro glasses that actually I'm wearing right now, and
Nice.
I got the pants and the and just the hair is going to be a little different, but about that also. So I'm looking forward to unveiling the Jerry character 50 years later, as I refer to him as the geezer version.
Well, that sounds awesome. So definitely, if anybody wants to, meet Alan, he did say earlier he will be. If you're in the Pennsylvania area, you can go and see him at, I believe it's the Mahoning Drive-In. When is that again?
September the 25th.
Awesome. So September the 25th, go in, make sure you can, go and see him. He'll be at the Mahoney Drive-In in the Lehigh Valley area of Pennsylvania.
Right.
It is a drive-in. Are they showing the movie?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. So definitely go see that, and obviously, if you're in the Texas area, go see the filming locations. And when he has his bed and breakfast up, he just give me a text of when it is, and I'll share it out for you, and we can get people to stay there and have a killer, no pun intended, experience.
Scotty, you're the best. I really appreciate it, and thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for having me as a guest. I really
Not a
enjoyed it.
problem. I truly appreciate it. I thank you so much for joining me. But you have a good rest of your day, and you please stay safe.
Thanks a lot. You too. I've had my vaccinations. I'm good to go.
Awesome. Perfect. I have my second dose on May 12th.
Okay. All right. Take care, sir.
All right. See you later. Bye.